This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel. It's Thanksgiving Monday again. Just want to make sure I'm checking in so as you know kind of the timestamp of when I'm having this discussion, in case you go back and fact check me or check my opinions after the fact, as we've had a couple times with this free agency stuff going on. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an interesting past week, right? Obviously with draft, free agency, and getting to where we've got with Turris, Barry, Ennis, Puljujärvi, Smith, Quine, Griffith, Forsberg. List goes on and on. I probably missed someone. That aside, you know what? It's been a good week, and I've talked about it being a good week. But everybody sitting here in Oilers land pretending like they know what the Oilers' problem is going into January 1st or February 1st or March 15th or whenever the next NHL season starts, because let me tell you, it is way too early to say when the next NHL season will start. It feels like it's about April 10th right now once again as to when the playoffs would start, and hence they started in August. But you know what? Way too early to tell. That being said, you know what? There is good reason for concern, right? Obviously, yes. We're bringing back Mike Smith. Mike Smith, probably not a problem solver in net, but he's not, like I said, he's okay. He's good enough. He's going to get the job done as a backup. Mikko Koskinen, proven that when he gets defense, he's a capable production driving goaltender. Okay? That's fair. That's fair to say. And then, of course, the defense got better offensively with Barry. Third line got taken care of with our right-hand shot centerman, Turris. Ennis adds depth and scoring touch to the lineup. Yada, 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 yada. The list goes on, right? But it is just way, way too early to tell. Because in Oilers land, there is always a problem every season. Last year, it was the scoring depth, both on the blue line and up front. Honestly, if you ask me, the goaltending was just fine. You look at the defense we had, that was a problem because seriously, where realistically is the depth, especially if Bear didn't step up? Where would you found anything good out of the blue line for the Oilers last year? And secondarily, the offensive forwards that we had either didn't show up or they just didn't do anything. Kailer Yamamoto, again, where would the Oilers been without a Yamamoto? Where would the Oilers been without a decent second half from December on from a guy like Josh Archibald, who scored a couple goals? Same with Riley Shan, right? You take away their little bit of production there that they had a couple of games. I think back to the Arizona game at Rogers Place I watched from the Sportsnet Lounge. You look back to those games and you kind of see, oh man, you don't score those goals. Man, yeah, no, you know what? You could have trouble. And you take away some of the guys stepping up when they finally, push came to shove. It would have been a real big disaster last year. But that's exactly why it's way too early to tell what the Edmonton Oilers' issues in 2021 are going to be. And seriously, here's the thing. I tend to say that this is an issue or this is an issue, but I do a lot of reacting. That's the key. I always tend to react to the situation rather than premeditate what's going to happen, because it is always impossible to predict the Edmonton Oilers. All right, that's the thing, and that's what's gotten me a little fired up here over the past couple days, with everybody just absolutely losing their mind about Mike Smith in net, Mikko Koskinen in net, Tyson Barrie not adding anything defensively. Honestly, the forward group, nobody's talking about the forward group being a problem, which is nice because we actually did what we needed to do to secure it up there. But again, what do you got? You got, if you want to be the naysayer, you got Jesse Puljujärvi, who has less than 40 points in 137 career games, so he's no problem solver based on those stats. You've got Kyle Turris, who just got bought out by Nashville because he was so awful. You've got, right, like, what are we solving? You got Tyler Ennis, who scored 4 points in 9 games, but's coming off a broken leg, right? We still don't have a top-line winger for Connor McDavid, but see, no, we know what we did enough to solve the forward problem is what I'm saying. Defensively, we still don't have a number one defenseman. That's great, that's dandy, but we got the offensive production we were going to require to deal with that with Tyson Barrie. And goaltending-wise, we stood pat with Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith. And everybody's sitting here absolutely going off the deep end that the Oilers are going to draft first overall because they have Mike Smith in net. Okay, Let me just clarify this. We had Laurent Brossoit in net for the Oilers for a couple of years. And never in 16-17, 17-18 did the Edmonton Oilers draft first overall. Yes, we might have been in the top 10 both years, but never did we draft. Actually, you know what? 16-17. No, we weren't. We drafted Kailer Yamamoto 22nd overall. No. Again, right? Look at that. Look at those numbers. We never drafted inside the top 5 those years. And Brossoit and Talbot were both absolutely brutal at times. 16-17, I believe it was because we couldn't get a backup goaltender win. And then in 17-18, you just forget about that one, right? But you look at that. Is everybody's focused, so narrow focused on one move in the offseason as being the problem for the Oilers in 2021. And I'm going to say what I always like to say, I am not seeing it as a problem until proven otherwise. And right now, guys, we have not a clue when the next NHL season is going to start. If you can actually nail down game number 1, day number 1 of the regular season for 2021 for the Edmonton Oilers, hats off to you, because I bet you not a single person in the crowd, unless we get 175 comments or more on this video, will nail the starting day for the Edmonton Oilers in 2021. Because simply, the world is just too much of an unknown, and that is exactly why it is too much of an unknown right now to know what the Oilers' problems in 2021 will be. Yes, goaltending looks shaky. Defense is shaky. Honestly, did we do enough up front? Probably not. Right? Yeah, you can point the finger a million ways and say this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem. But the fact that we're 4 days into free agency, and who knows what else Ken Holland's got up his sleeve, because he's pretty much done, not fully done, right? If he was totally done, he would have said totally done, right? We have no clue what is to come, and yet Oilers fans out there are acting like it's game over because we signed Mike Smith. Seriously, if the Oilers didn't sign Mike Smith and say they signed Jimmy Howard, I think the reaction would be totally different, because at least somebody out there in the Oilers crowd would be willing to give Jimmy Howard a chance. And I'll give you some stats here. I haven't given you any stats to back up my argument. Let's just say goaltending. Goaltending is the biggest problem the Oilers have. Well, I'm sorry. The Toronto Maple Leafs have a stud goalie in Frederik Andersen, yet they finished 7th in goals against. Most goals against, 222. The Oilers last season had Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen, which by the sounds of it, Mike Smith is 100 times worse than any backup goaltender that the Toronto Maple Leafs had last season. The Oilers finished 12th with 215. And I mean, you can make your arguments about Mike Smith versus backups for the Leafs, but Frederik Andersen against Mikko Koskinen, I think everybody is out there arguing this weekend that Frederik Andersen is better than Mikko Koskinen. So give your head a shake. Goaltending is not going to be the problem until proven otherwise. Defense isn't going to be the problem until proven otherwise. And forward group scoring goals or not scoring goals is not going to be the problem until proven otherwise. Because, guys, we've got a long way to go until we play the first game of the regular season, let alone the second or third or last game of the regular season. So to be already calling the season over before you even know what the start date is, all right? This is the beauty of everybody going off the deep end. The season's over before it's even announced it's going to start. Oh my goodness, this is the best thing ever, right? It's just, it goes to show absolutely that, like, everybody always likes to, in the Oilers fandom, crap on Leafs fans. I'm sorry, this Mike Smith signing has absolutely put a black mark on all of us being idiots for losing our minds over one thing. Okay, that's ridiculous. It's just how terrible we went off the deep end simply based on signing Mike Smith. Dude, one player on your team, especially as your backup goaltender, having this proven in the 17-18, 16-17 seasons for the Oilers, that is not going to doom you. It's just not, okay? So right now, until proven otherwise, there's no reason to be losing your mind over simple things when you don't even have a season start date mentioned, right? We have a target date, but target dates, my friends, are as liquid today as they ever have been. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. Calm down, relax. The Oilers world hasn't ended because it hasn't even started. I am up on out of here.